stage is a suburban dad from Poway. Please make him welcome Andy Lamey.
Great to be here. It's been a real pleasure for me getting to know all the comics and rehearsing with them, but I do gotta say, there was one bit we heard tonight that I do have a bit of a problem with. And you may remember Charles and his jokes about Harriet Tubman. It was extremely funny, don't get me wrong, but here's my issue. I keep having nightmares that Charles and I are performing together, our sets get mixed up, and I have to come out and tell Harriet Tubman jokes. I'm trying to get better at giving my comics good feedback, but I'm still working on it. Like Alma's stuff about growing up Mexican, that's hilarious. I give her feedback this way though. I'm like, Alma, do Mexican stuff. That just sounds bad. So there's different kind of dads out there. There's a high-level dad I think of. They're very funny, they're great with kids, they're rich. Those guys, I think of them as the human equivalent of Disneyland. I'm more of a Chuck E. Cheese dad. This is a low level of dad. I don't know if you've been to Chuck E. Cheese lately. Maybe Chucky was cool in the 70s, like Mickey was having a punk phase. These days you go there, somebody comes out dressed as Chucky, the uniform is dirty and tattered. I don't know if you've seen one of these old country singers who smoke too many cigarettes and they're all grizzled. I want you to think of the crustiest country singer you can think of who just happens to be a rodent. That's Chucky's vibe today. But the most disturbing thing about Chuck E. Cheese is not the filthiness. What bothers me the most about Chuck E. Cheese is they're open till 10 o'clock at night. If you're in a Chuck E. Cheese at 9:40 at night, that means two things. You have responsibility for one or more children, and you've done something so stupid, you're no longer allowed inside your house. Like say you pick up the kids at school, you drive home, and your wife comes out in the driveway to yell at you for leaving the hose in the pool again. Take a purely hypothetical example. And the kids know it's not good to be driving there at night. They're like, Dad, we're not going to Chuck E. Cheese again, are we, Dad? And I have to make it seem like it's this big treat to look forward to. And can I just say, that's such an important part of being a parent, telling good, strong lies to children. So, we're there, it's late at night, that's not a good club to be in. There's no moms there, just dads. It's not a fun club to realize, oh, I'm a late night Chuck E. Cheese dad. It also really bothers me, like, how good the beer is at Chuck E. Cheese. Like, they have, these really big dad-sized mugs. And they cut us off after 2 for a really good reason. So we don't weep in front of our children. So the last time I'm going there with the kids, and we get there and it's night, we're in the dark parking lot, and I look inside and I can see the other Chuck E. Cheese dads, and I know everything about them, even though we've never spoken, but I know what their life is about because we're there at the same time. And we get there and the kids are like, Dad, can we stay in the car this time, Dad? I don't want to go in by myself, so I stay in the car too. And then I realize, I have found a lower level of dad than late night Chuck E. Cheese dad. I have become a late night Chuck E. Cheese parking lot dad. I do stuff like that, I make mistakes. My wife always has the same answer. We need therapy. We need to go get therapy. I don't want to get therapy, and I think I have a very good reason. I'm a coward. I read somewhere that 85% of the people who go to therapy are women. Okay, so what about the 15% are guys? I can explain that. They're just higher quality men than me. I think I'm not alone. I think most guys are frightened of therapy. Here's a way to tell. Go up to your male friends and ask them to reimagine their favorite action movie, except instead of breaking into a bank, the team are all going to get therapy together. So there's that scene at the beginning where The Rock explains the mission. All right, men, listen up. At 0800 hours, we're rolling out to get that psycho-analysis. Jason Stratham is there, but he doesn't like the mission. Why does it have to be psychoanalysis? Doesn't like to talk about it much, but he lost his best friend in psychoanalysis. The therapy brought out the friendship was imaginary. They get to the therapist's office and just then 20 Korean guys swing in through the windows, but there's no fighting, just hugging. All of my male friends, that movie I just described, that's a horror movie. There's another reason I'm afraid to go to therapy. It's that my wife is always reading books about it. She's like, we need Rogerian therapy. We need CBT therapy. I don't even know what these words mean. Then I realized, you know the Ultimate Fighting Championship and these guys can kill you with 7 different martial arts? That's my wife, but with therapy. I am married to the Conor McGregor of couples counseling. I think the reason she likes therapy so much is she's extremely well educated. Like, she has a massive vocabulary. Like, she will walk up to me and say stuff like this, I think we should get a puce credenza. And I'm like, didn't I buy weed from him in high school? I'll be in the kitchen, and you know how bad it is for me being married to somebody so educated? I'm in the kitchen, they can walk up and toss off peer-reviewed research about what my sandwiches are personally responsible for global warming. So finally I give in, we go to therapy. It's a female therapist, she's also very well educated. She and my wife are bonding. I'm ready to start getting a lot of spears, but early on the therapist says to my wife, shh, let Andy speak. Is this allowed? The last thing she says to my wife is, I don't think Andy needs to come anymore. I think you and I should meet one-on-one. Long, quiet silence in the car on the home after that one. Eventually my wife said, maybe you're right. Maybe we don't need therapy. And there was another long silence until I worked up the courage to say, well, we don't. Guys, it was summertime, so sleeping outside was no biggie. I do stupid stuff like that, and my wife is a very forgiving woman. And in our favor, we've been married for a long time. And if you've been married for a long time, you know one of the things that comes with that is you figure out ways to forgive each other, to make up. And in my case, I like to turn, when I'm making up with my wife, I like to turn it into a bit of a date night. So I'll say things like, hey honey, I know a place where we can get really good beer, we just need out of there by 10 o'clock.